Welcome everyone, I am Behemoth and I am a League of Legends coach on a national level in Germany. Welcome to this video where we will start talking about 5 habits that you should do or should start to climb the ladder. So, preseason is a bit of a time for reflection. It's there for not only being better gameplay wise in the next season, but also just implementing a few things that will make sure that you can get off to a flying start. These are 5 habits that I have found help both me and other players achieve that goal of next season, whatever it is, and things that you can immediately apply to yourself. The first thing we will talk about is focus on a few champions. So if your main goal is to climb in solo queue, then you should not go ahead and spam 20 champions all the time. You should focus on 2 or 3 champions, and it doesn't really matter what champions they are. Many people would say it just practice something like any, which to be fair has its merits, as you can basically focus on only macro because she's so easy to play. But what I would say to you is just play what feels the most fun, because in the end League is about fun, and even if you are going to climb, you're going to need to be taking a bit of time for that. So it is crucial that you don't miss out on the fun of playing your champion. That's what mainly drives us as human beings. Best would be obviously that these champions are all in the same position, and then you don't really have to worry too much about the matchup. It's more about fundamentals. It's about trading in lane. It's about jungle pathing in the jungle. It's about just knowing how your champion is being played. That is much more impactful in solo queue than the matchup would ever be. Especially in top lane, you have some matchups that just feel unbeatable. But it is a really fun minigame, especially when you get extremely proficient at a champion, to just find a way. There has been for example, the Camille volleyball matchup, where every Camille in the beginning was saying that is unwinnable. But once people started taking Grasp and taking Shield Bash on the Camille, suddenly the matchup actually looked a bit up. So these are kind of things that you can theory craft and that you can just use your time with, because that is a valuable thing to do indeed. The next habit you can do is just don't play too much. It's a common habit that I see many players doing is spam 8 to 9 games a day. And then get tired of it because you just completely burned yourself out of the game. Just quit the game for a day or two, then get back to spamming 8 to 9 games a day. This is not sustainable, and it will for sure lead to you not being able to perform in every match as much as you could. Focus is a fickle thing. Many people aren't able to focus for longer than 2 or 3 games in my experience. So what you should do is, 1, identify the time of day that you are actually most focused. It will be different for everybody of us. But second of all, also notice how much you can actually focus at a time. And then you can go and plan your ranked, so you can get the maximum performance out of yourself. It is really important that you moderate yourself regarding that, and if you still want to play, you can get the Smurf, or you can play ranked flex, or anything like that. But your main account, which you want to climb on, should be for focused games only. It is also extremely important that you do not play after you notice yourself tilting. Many coaches will say after 2 losses in a row, it's best to just leave it for the day, but it's different for everybody. So it is much better for you to just notice, see the signs. Maybe you are getting a bit more aggressive. Maybe you are being passive aggressive towards the teammates. Maybe inflaming a bit. And these things, while perfectly human, is something that you should notice and is something that you should try and avoid. So yeah, just stop before these things start, basically. Also, don't play if you have anything on your plate. Homework, chores in the house, stress from work, whatever it is. If something weighs on your mind, you shouldn't play. Go ahead and do that first, and then come back to the game, and you are going to see a massive improvement. Not only because you are now able to fully focus on the game and do not have things in the back of your mind, but also because you are now happy that you actually did do these things that you had on your plate first. Yeah, that's a big boost that you can have in your ranked. The third thing might be something that you haven't really heard. So it's something that I have I've experienced quite a bit for myself. Make sure your room is heated and ventilated. I think it seems so trivial, because especially the heating factor. But I see so many people just playing with cold hands, even though they don't have to. Just go and pull that heater up, or yeah, just make sure that your room is well heated. But the much more important thing is the ventilation. So I will link to you a video of Tom Scott, who has done a video on that thing. Normal CO2 levels in nature are like about 400 parts per million. And rooms are often much higher. So when you are not going to ventilate your room, when you're not opening your door, opening your window, letting the air flow through a bit, it is quite normal that you get around 1000 parts per million or even more. And in studies it has shown that 1000 parts per million, there's around a 15% decrease in cognitive function. At 1400 parts per million, it's a 50% decrease. So what this is a huge deal in League of Legends. These 15% could be the difference maker between you are winning or losing a game. So just don't take the chance. Make sure your room is ventilated before you're playing. Make sure your room is heated before you're playing, so you can get yourself in the best spot you can. If you do have a lot of brain fog, that might also be one of the reasons why. Because basically the decreased cognitive functions in many people make themselves known as what you would typically consider brain fog. Again, if you're interested in this topic, I will link a video in the description of Tom Scott. Alright, next up is don't waste time, come into the game with a plan. I see so many people just queuing up and then going for water or something like that. So this is really not a good idea. It's once you queue up, once you hit that button, you should be fully focused on the game. You should be thinking about what champion am I gonna play, which matchup am I gonna play, how am I going to go ahead and approach the game. What you can do to do that is make a checklist. Just think about what you actually have to think about in the game. For example, wave 1 to 5, how do I want to go and approach that? Wave 5 to 10, how do I want to go and approach that? What is my win condition? What is my role in fights? What are my power spikes? These are all things that you have to be aware of. And unless, like, it's really important that you make a specific effort to do that, so that at some point it's just automatic that you can get into these focus states. But this will make sure that you are a lot more active inside the game, that your mind is constantly racing, that you are able to perform at your highest level and not just autopilot the day away. Okay, and the last thing, and this is a huge thing which I see players doing way too little of, is with your VODs. A lot of people would hire coaches for this, and I tend to agree that this is a worthwhile thing because I am a coach. But really, this can be a last resort if you are able to actually look at your game and look at it from a critical standpoint. So after every day, you can start, like, this is how I would start with it. After every day, we watch one of your games on Loki. Loki is a POV recording studio, which I would really recommend you downloading, by the way. It's a really nice thing to have, especially when working with coaches. But yeah, you can look at your POV, you can look at how you control your camera, you can look at your pathing, for example, in the jungle. Was this trade good? Any number of things. And once you are done with that, I want you to note down the biggest mistakes you made. It could be like one mistake, could be even 2, 3, could be 20 mistakes if you really had a bad day and are really feeling critical right about now. But really, what's really important is note that down, make sure you can actually see it, and then after maybe a week or two, you will have all these mistakes that you will make. Maybe you will actually have multiple mistakes on different days. So then you can identify which mistakes are the ones that I commonly make and how can I actually go ahead and fix those. If you then at some point come into a situation where you cannot actually find mistakes anymore, and this is perfectly normal, then it's the time to hire a coach, because he's going to give you more. He's going to give you a more or a different view on the game, maybe some new impulses so you can think about it. And this is really what a coach is for, especially when it comes to climbing the solo queue. Okay, these were my 5 habits you should get into for next season. Let me know what you think of them, and if you go ahead and do them, please do give me some feedback on how it works for you. I would be more than happy, I would be really happy to see you actually succeed with those. If you also have any good habits that you have that you want to share, then do so in the comment section. Everything is appreciated. Thank you for listening. Have a great day, and most importantly, don't stop chasing your dream, whatever it is. See you guys.